it's Ebony May, and today I'm going to be showing you all the tools that I use for cake decorating on a budget. So I still use these tools every day to make cakes like this, and I think they work amazing. And I want to make cake decorating as easy and as accessible as possible because that's what it needs to be so that you'll start. Anyway, if you're looking into getting into cake decorating or starting your own cake business, keep watching because I'm going to explain everything that I use. So let's go! So I'm going to be breaking this video into 4 sections, so baking, icing, decorating, and other fun extras. So first we're going to start off with baking. Okay, first we're starting with a stand mixer. This is my KitchenAid. It's like my baby. It's the very first thing that I invested in when I first got my first few orders. And before this, I had a Kenwood chef that was actually from a second-hand shop that my grandma got me. So I definitely invest in a stand mixer, and you can make meringues, you can make pretty much everything in one of these. It's just an all-round good thing to have. Also allows for consistency in your baking. And then for the attachment, I usually use this most of the time. It's the paddle attachment. And I just wanted to say, you don't have to go and buy an expensive mixer like this. If you want to, eventually you can invest in one, but go to a second-hand shop. They usually have heaps. A lot of places have old Kenwood chefs and they're usually quite big, so you can make heaps of stuff in them. Or the other thing is you could even go to Kmart and they have stand mixers there. So you could start with that, because if you keep making cakes and maybe you want to sell them, you might make a bit of pocket money to save up for another one, or you can just take time to save up for one. I would definitely recommend a KitchenAid or a Kenwood chef. Those are my 2 recommendations, but if you can't afford it, yeah, go to Kmart or go to Harris Scarf or a place like that. They always have sales, and just grab a cheap kind of one because it will do the trick in the start. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't have to be hard. You don't have to wait until you get one of these to start cake decorating. Like, you can start straight away. So yeah, this is my stand mixer and I love it. And I just want to mention that I make all my cakes in there, and also buttercreams and fillings. Pretty much anything. And also you can make bread because it comes with a dough hook. Anyway, let's get on to the next one, and that is cake tins. I'm going to show you 2 different types of cake tins. So these ones here are the ones that I first got when I started out. So my grandma loves to go to different secondhand shops, so I asked her if she could look for some cake tins, and she found these within a week. So it's definitely possible to get cheap cake tins, and these are really good. So I always look for one that has a very straight edge, because if you go to some place like maybe Kmart or something like that, they might have like a curved edge, like a lot of them do. So I look for ones that are commercial looking. So like this one is really good, and also this one. I started out with these cake tins. They worked perfectly for me. So definitely go have a look at the secondhand shops. Like, you'll be surprised with what you can find. And then eventually I went to invest in some newer ones just because I wanted like different sizes and stuff. So I got these ones. These are my favorite brand of cake tins. So they are the Mondo brand, and you can just go to Spotlight and get these. Like, that's how easy it is. Or any local cake shop. I'm sure you have a local cake shop in your area, and they will definitely stock these Mondo cake tins. And they're the cheapest I've found, especially at Spotlight, because Spotlight always has heaps of sales and these are always on sale. So just keep an eye out for that. Anyway, if you're starting to do cake decorating and you want to do like tall cakes, I would invest in 2 of the same size. So at least you can start with making one size of a tall cake, and then you can also just bake one cake and do a mini cake. It's always important to get good cake tins because you want that good size layer and sharp edge. Investing in good cake tins is probably the most important thing for a good cake. But start out at those secondhand shops. Like, you can find some amazing things there. Okay, next, a good scale. Now, I started off with a secondhand scale, and then I eventually got this, but it was so cheap. I got it from Kmart, and I use it every day. It's amazing because it's just so good for accuracy, and it's just amazing. Like, you can put your bowl on there. Another quick tip, you can also weigh your cake tins so that both cake tins have the same amount of batter in them, so you bake uniform layers. So that's a little tip. But yes, this is very important, especially when you're making buttercream and just weighing things. The other style of measurement you can use are measuring cups, and I love using measuring cups, especially for scooping flour, because it's just so much easier. Like, if I'm scooping this into a sifter, like, boom, it just makes your life so much easier. So I would get a good set of measuring cups. You can definitely get some good ones for quite cheap. And then this is kind of random, but invest in a good whisk. I feel like every baker needs to have a good whisk. And this one is just very like sturdy. I've had so many different whisks that have just like fallen apart. Let me show you. What is that? And I think this one was quite expensive. Anyway, but yeah, invest in a good whisk. I think this might be the KitchenAid brand. I'm not really sure, but oh no, I got this from David Jones. I have seen some good ones, even some cheaper ones that look good. So just look for a sturdy whisk. So that's the baking side of things. That's the basic stuff that you need to bake a good cake. Now let's move on to the icing stage. Okay, I think the most important thing when icing a cake is a good turntable. This is my biggest hack. So this is actually a Lazy Susan from IKEA, and it is like the perfect turntable. I've been using this for years. I've actually got two now, and this is what I first started out with. I think it cost me like $15 to $20, which is amazing because if you look online, you can see some for like 100, 120. So this is like amazing, and I find it gives this pretty smooth spin. Like it's not like clunky or anything because you don't want that. So I found this one is absolutely perfect. Definitely my biggest hack. So go grab one of those. Like they're so cheap. Loved. Okay, next thing, let's talk spatulas. You've got a few different types of spatulas. So you've got your offset spatulas and then just like a normal spatula. Now this one is my favorite. There's just normal spatula, especially for scraping down the sides of my mixer. I like this one. It's actually from Williams Sonoma, so it's a bit more expensive. You can also get these type of spatulas from your local cake shop, but this is a hard spatula. See that? It's not like too floppy. I'll show you the difference. This is a more floppy spatula, which is not good for scraping down the sides because it'll just bend. So I like to use this one when mixing coloring into icing, but I like to use this one when scraping down the side of my mixer, which I use this one the most. But yes, definitely get a good spatula. You only need one to start off with, so this is very good. Yeah, just have a look at your local cake shop, or Wilton is a good brand which you can get from Spotlight, so highly recommend. Okay, let's talk offset spatulas. These are my favorites. These are like my good luck charm with the cake. So I like to use this one for smoothing the icing between the layers, and I like to use this one for filling in any gaps around the side. Just have a look at this angle here. That's the angle that you want. You don't want anything flatter than that because you want it to go nicely around the cake without you sticking your hand into the cake. This is the Wiltshire brand from Spotlight, and they always have this like 40% off or half price. So yes, definitely get yourself one of these. This is the Loyal brand, which I actually got from the Cake Bake and Sweets show when I first went, and that's another hack. Go to the cake shows. I think they have them in Sydney and Melbourne. They have pretty much everything discounted, which is amazing. So that's another little hack if you live near there. The next thing that I would get is a massive knife. Okay, before you say anything, I know it's massive. I think this is amazing for layering cakes. You've probably seen people use those, I mean like a cake leveler, but I used to use those in the start when I first started out, but I found that the wire kept breaking and I had to buy like so many, so I would invest in a good knife because this will last you forever. I do the technique where I measure around with a ruler and then connect the sides and then cut it like that, and it just works so well for me. Also, this is the Mondo brand, so same brand as those cake tins. I got it from the Cake Bake and Sweets show for 50% off, but they do have it at Spotlight, so look out for the sales there because they always have sales. Okay, next we're talking scrapers. So this is the one that I currently use at the moment. This is the Loyal brand. I actually got this one from my local cake shop, and I love it so much because this metal is so thin that when you put it around the cake, it just gives such a sharp edge. And I like the way this handle is just really easy to hold. Yeah. So this is my favorite, but I'll show you what I started out with. So this is the cake scraper that I actually started out with. It's a little bit thicker metal, but it worked fine. This was actually from Kmart, I think, and it's just a pastry scraper, or like, you know, like a pastry, or like a bench scraper. This worked really well in the start, but I found that because I was making taller cakes, it didn't really last me that long, so I needed the taller one. But yeah, this is definitely a good option. Another hack is if you go to Bunnings to like the paint scraper section, they have a bunch of plastic scrapers. I just went to look for mine and I can't find it, but I definitely started out with that as well, and they're good because you can kind of mold it to the cake. So if you're doing like a sphere type of cake, you can mold the scraper to the cake, whereas these ones will just ice straight. So yeah, if you're starting out, definitely go check out Bunnings because they have a bunch of different scrapers and they're pretty cheap as well. Just a good place to start. So that is all of the icing basics that you need. Okay, now let's move on to my favorite part, all the decorating tools that you need. So I'm just going to talk about the basic decorating stuff, then we'll talk about some of the more fun extras. So firstly, you need piping bags if you want to do piping. So I would recommend starting with one of these disposable piping bags. This is the Loyal brand. I think I got it from a cake shop, but you can also get it from Spotlight. You can start off with one of these when you first starting cake decorating because it's just easy just to have the one piping bag and not waste so many of these. I tend to use these more often just because I feel like I never wash these properly, and so I just want to be more hygienic, especially with my business. So I use the Loyal clear disposable piping bag. These come in the 100 bag packets, and you can also get the biodegradable ones, which I used to always use, but I haven't seen them in ages, which is annoying. I should look into that actually. Anyway, so yeah, those are the piping bags that I use. Let me just tell you what size. So this one is the 12-inch size, and I also like to use the bigger ones like the 15-inch and 18-inch. Especially when you're doing two-tone buttercream, sometimes you just need a bit more room in the bag. These are the Loyal brand. I don't know if I mentioned that. Okay, let's talk piping tips. Just firstly, look at my little setup here. This is one of those hair accessory dividers, and I love using this for my piping tips. It just makes it so much easier, especially when I'm on a roll and I'm like decorating and I just want to get exactly what I need. So that's perfect. Little tip there. You can just get one of these from like a $2 shop. Let's talk about my favorite piping tips that you need to start off with. Okay, firstly, I think that everyone needs a good cupcake piping tip. So this one is my favorite. This is the Wilton 1M tip, just like that open star tip. I don't know if you can see that. That is my favorite one to use. It is just so amazing for decorating cupcakes. I love it. And you can do swirls, you can do little flowers, just everything. I love it. Some other options for cupcakes is this one, which is the Loyal 4B. It's got more points on the star there. Okay, I also think this is a good one, which is a closed star tip, and this is the Loyal 2D. I think it's called 2B though with Wilton. I'm not sure. Anyway, this is the Loyal 2D, and I think this is also a really good one for cupcakes. Well, some people prefer this, but I prefer the 1M. I just find it easier to use. And then if you're looking for a round one, this is also a good one. This is the Wilton 1A. And then another cupcake one, which I use all the time, is this one, and it is the Wilton 8B. And I just love this. It's like wide, and it makes a good like like dollop of icing. So that's cupcake tips. Now, if you want to do more intricate piping, like little flowers, if you've seen the vintage hotcakes, you'll know what I mean. You want something called a coupler, and this is what a coupler looks like. This is a coupler here, and it comes with this little thing for the top. And this is a Wilton brand. You can get it from Spotlight. You can get them from Big W. You can also get them from your local cake shop. So these are just good because when you're doing a lot of piping and you want different tips, you can actually put this in a piping bag and then swap the tips over with the same color. It's so good. It saves a lot of waste. So definitely get one of those. That is like a staple. And some tips that you definitely want to have are these. So firstly, you want to have a little star tip. So this one is a 2-1. Just looks like this. You can also get them in a smaller size, but this is just perfect for starting out with, so definitely get one of those. And then one of these, which is just a little round tip, because you can do little round like blobs. This is a Wilton 12. And this one, I don't actually know what it's called, but this is what it looks like. Can you see that? It's just like a more of an open star, and I love the look of this one. It gives such an effortless, intricate piping look, if that makes sense. But yeah, I love this one so much. But you can find these in the Wilton and Loyal brands, I'm pretty sure, but I think this is just like a cheap one that I found, but I use it all the time. Okay, so those are your basic tips out of the way. I would start with these. As you progress further, you might want to get some more piping tips, so I'll show you the ones that I think are good to get, because I have so many, but I don't use them all. Okay, let's start with this one. This is a ruffle tip, that's what I call it. This is a Wilton 104, and it looks like this. And it's just good for creating little ruffles on cupcakes or like on your vintage hotcake. Then this one is a leaf tip, which I use actually all the time. I also use it to make a bit of a ruffle as well. I think it's amazing. So this is a Wilton 352. It's so good. If you want to do a bit of writing on cakes, like letters and things, then I would get this little round tip, which is a Wilton 3. Just a very good thickness, and it's not too thin and it's not too thick. So I really like that one. Okay, the next one is what I call a grass tip, or you can make fur with it, but it's basically, it looks like this and it's got little dots in it. It's such a fun tip to use and just like practice and play around with. I've used this to make like fur on a cake or to also make grass on a cake. So this is a Wilton 233. Definitely recommend. As you can tell, I love the brand Wilton. I use it all the time. Okay, those are all of the tips that I use. I don't use any other tips other than those. I do have quite a few more, but honestly those are the only ones you need to start out with, unless you want to kind of play around with a few things, but I definitely recommend those ones. Okay, let's move on to food coloring. As you can see, I've got a lot of different food coloring. I definitely think that I've tried them all. So I'm going to show you the ones that I think are best to spend your money on and that just work the best. So first of all, I think you should start with at least 3 colors. I would just stick with the primary colors so that you can mix them together, or you can kind of go with your own mix. I think I started off with a blue, a yellow, and a pink because I just knew that I would use those colors all the time. So yeah, just pick at least 3 colors to start with. So these are either gel colors or oil-based colors. So the food colorings that you see at the supermarket, they're all water-based, I'm pretty sure. They're just not the best to mix into buttercream because buttercream is oil-based from the butter. It's good to use these ones because they're just a lot more concentrated and they just mix in so much better and allow just for a better color. Let me show you what I've got. Okay, these are the main 3 brands that I use. So first I'll show you the one that I started out with. So this brand here is the Chef Master Americolor Liquid Gel, and these were my favorite for ages. I used to only use these ones and I think they're really good. You can get them from Spotlight or your local cake decorating shop or Big W, all those kind of places. They're definitely very accessible. They're just not at the supermarket. I think they're very concentrated for buttercream. I love using them for buttercream. I probably would say these are my favorite. And they're also gel based. They're really good and they're not too expensive. I wouldn't say they're too expensive, especially if you're starting out small. I just have all of these because I do orders now, so I need a lot of different colors. Okay, next, I've only just started using these, but these are the vivid colors. I've actually loved using this brand recently because they're very concentrated. I know I say that a lot, but you actually don't have to add too much of this into your buttercream to make it bright, if that makes sense. So whereas I think you need to add a little bit more of this, if that makes sense. So this one's definitely more concentrated than this one. So yeah, this is a vivid color. Definitely am enjoying those. Okay, next, Color Mill. I've been loving Color Mill recently. I do have to say though, they're not very bright in color when you add them to buttercream. Also, these are an oil-based food coloring, so they're very good, but I would use them more for things like dyeing chocolate. I definitely use them a lot for, yeah, dyeing white chocolate different colors, and also for dyeing fondant. I don't use fondant that much. I only use it for little decorations, but this brand is actually so good. Better than these two for dyeing fondant. But yeah, I definitely love the Color Mill brand. They have such lovely colors as well. A lot of nice pastels as well. Okay, and I just wanted to briefly mention about red coloring because red can be such a hard color to dye things with. So I'm just going to show you what red that I use. So I've got Super Red in this Chef Master gel. Then we've also got the Color Mill one. This one is alright. I always use this one as well to dye icing red because I feel like it's just a very concentrated one. It's for icing and it's called No Taste Red. So even if you add a bunch, you can't taste it. So definitely like that one as well. So those are all my favorite food colorings. Okay, so I've just shown you all the basics that you need. Let's talk about some extras that you might want for cake decorating. Okay, before I get into that, I forgot to mention that I use this white food color to dye white chocolate because when you melt white chocolate, it comes out in a yellow color. So I like to dye it with this, and this is the liquid white and the liquid gel color from, this is the Chef Master one, but yeah. Just wanted to mention that. Let's get into these goodies. These are all the extras. You definitely don't need any of these to start out with, but they're just some things that you might want to get that I recommend. This is a set of round cookie cutters. This is not the full set. Some of them are in the wash. These are really good when you just want a round shape because sometimes you want to make a cake design or do something like that or cut out the middle of a cake, and these are just perfect. I feel like you need something round. Otherwise you can trace around a bowl, but I just think these are really perfect. And another tip, if you're doing like those arches around a cake like this, you can actually make little imprints around the cake so you don't kind of make it all crooked. Anyway, little tip. Okay, these I actually just purchased today. I got them from Spotlight. They're the Wilton brush set. I actually started out with just one paintbrush. You can buy, I'm pretty sure you can just buy them singly, but I have lost it and I have no idea where it was. I decided to invest in some more of these because they're just so good, and I just use them for little details like painting like a little face on the cake. I also paint like little dust around the cake or painting a drip gold. These are perfect. Okay, next, luster dust. I love luster dust so much. This is the Faye Cahill brand. Can you see it? That's the brand, and it's basically a rose gold dust. So these are all the little kind of luster dust that I have. I got this one from Spotlight. It's such a good place to start out with. I feel like I always say Spotlight, but they just have everything. So yeah, this is the gold edible metallic luster dust, and you can actually turn it into a paint if you mix it with this, which is rose spirit. And I'm pretty sure you could also use like any clear alcohol, but I just get this from my local cake decorating shop and it works like perfectly. This is a big bottle. You can get them smaller. I just use it all the time. I have all different colors. I've got gold, I've got silver, and I've also got rose gold. And I love this brand. It's mad about color, and I got it from the cake shop. I think they're like a small business, but I love them. So yeah, definitely recommend those. You can paint a drip gold or rose gold or silver, whatever color you like. And then you can also use them to coat chocolate and make chocolate metallic. So you could get a bag of Maltesers, put a little bit of dust in there, shake it up. You have gold Maltesers. So yeah, that's a little tip. I feel like every cake decorator needs to have these pearl sprinkles. I love these ones. These are actually a small business, the Sprinkle Club. There we video. But you can also just get them from anywhere, even Woolies have them. I just want to mention Kohl's cake decorating section is really good. You can find some cheap cake decorating stuff that's really good, even cake toppers, so that's another little tip. Okay, next is this little grater. I actually don't know where it's from because my friend got it for me, but I think it's so cute, especially when you're wanting to just add a little bit of chocolate around the cake. Just adds a little bit of something. But I'm pretty sure you can get these from any kind of cooking place, so like Spotlight, Harris Scarf, Big W, yeah. Love that. Okay, next, if you're wanting to do fondant work, I would get one of these. I just love it because then your fondant doesn't stick to the bench and it's just so easy. This is just a silicone baking mat. This is the brand, but I'm pretty sure you can also just get that from any cooking shop. But yeah, I also use those to bake macarons on. Very versatile, so you can bake with them as well. And on the topic of fondant, I use this fondant roller as well. I feel like if you're gonna do fondant work, you definitely need a roller. If you don't have one, you can just use a wooden roller. I like this one because it's just perfect for fondant. I feel like it doesn't stick as much as a wooden roller. This is from Spotlight. Okay, next, let's talk about gold flake. So you've probably heard of gold leaf and how hard it is to work with. I used to always get the Kohl's gold leaf and I liked using it, but I just found that these were so much easier to use. I think I got this either from Spotlight or my local cake decorating shop, but it's the brand Over the Top and it's called Edible Bling, and it's just so much easier to work with, especially if you just want little flakes everywhere. But yes, it looks like that and it kind of feels like really thin foil. Yes, so easy to work with. Our last thing I'm going to talk about is a blowtorch. I just got this from one of those cheap cooking shops, like I think Salvage Urban, I think it's called. But yeah, I just got this spur of the moment purchase, but I love it. I don't use it all the time, that's why I'm putting it in this section. But it's really good if you're making lemon meringue cupcakes or lemon meringue pie. You can just toast it on top and it just gives such a professional look. I feel like, yeah, it just looks so professional. I forgot to mention these. This is so random. I feel like no one talks about how to store your cakes. So I use this brand. It's the Decor brand. You can get it from Spotlight, Big W, Woolies. They always have it half price at Woolies, so keep an eye out for that. It ends up being like $5.50 per container. And I have like 20 of these. You can also get them in cake size or little sizes for buttercream, for storing icings and things like that. So yeah, highly recommend those. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed my comprehensive guide to budget cake decorating. You definitely don't need all of these things at the end, but I would recommend getting some of the things I mentioned at the start of the video. You can start slow and build up your collection of cake decorating. I feel like a well decorated cake comes with practice skill from the person, dedication, and good tools. I feel like tools are just so important. And these are the tools that I recommend. You can get them from, I've mentioned, Harris Scarf, Spotlight, Big W, your local cake decorating shop. Definitely check it out. I'm sure you have one near. Or even online. I love Caker's Warehouse, Lollipop Supplies. Those are the two that I can think of off the top of my head. Also, check out the Australian Cake Decorating Network because they have their preferred suppliers and they have a few cake decorating stores there. So yeah, that's everything that I would get if I was starting out again. I wish someone had made this video when I was starting out because it's been a lot of trial and error and I've definitely bought a lot of things that I didn't need. Yeah, start small, start with the basic. And I just want to wish you luck with your cake decorating journey. I'm sure you're going to do amazing. I'd love you to subscribe to my channel for more tips because I want to support you on your cake decorating journey. I'll also be posting videos so you can see an insight of my life as a cake business owner. Anyway, this video has been so fun. Have the best day, guys. Bye!